The embattled chief executive of the country accuses CNN of broadcasting fake news and orders the cable news channel's reporters out. No, that's not what happened today at the White House, but it did happen this week. I'm Scott Ott with Bill Whittle and Stephen Green, and this Right Angle is brought to you by the members at BillWhittle.com. Well, men, CNN was told to leave the country by Nicolas Maduro, the embattled president of Venezuela. Maduro accused CNN on Espanol of manipulating news and of sticking its nose where it didn't belong. Now, depending on which accounts you read, in which language, Maduro was upset either about allegations he did nothing to help hungry high school students in failing schools, or he was enraged over allegations that the Venezuelan embassy in Baghdad sold passports and visas to narco traffickers and terrorists. CNN en Espanol broke both stories. Meanwhile, back at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, despite his repeated retweeted allegations of fake news, President Donald Trump has not kicked out CNN or any other news outlet, but his press secretary has shaken up the White House daily briefing. Sean Spicer has repeatedly broken with the old tradition of calling on the Associated Press and the major network reporters first, preferring to overlook the front rows and jump around the room, often giving priority to those outside the so-called mainstream media. The briefing, which has proven a ratings bonanza for cable news, plays to a packed room where the White House Correspondents Association has set the seating chart since 1981 to avoid accusations of presidential bias. Now, all of this raises questions about gatekeepers and watchdogs in an era when the press is even less popular than the president. Now, Stephen Green, the American people still get most of their news from the mainstream media or from people commenting on the mainstream media or from comedy shows, often via social media. What obligation, if any, does the White House have to grant access to the major information distribution channels?
Oh, wow. That's a really good question. Although first, before I answer that, I want to take issue with your description of Maduro as being the embattled president of Venezuela. He's not embattled. He's a socialist dictator on this rotting, failed state, and everything bad that happens he deserves. I just feel sorry for the Venezuelans who never voted for him or his predecessor, the blissfully dead Hugo Chavez. All right, look, the White House can invite anybody they want into the press briefing room that they like. And, this is what I love about the American system. We have checks and balances, not just within the Constitution and not just within our political traditions, but also between the American public and our government. So the president can invite in anybody he wants or not invite them in, and he can call on anybody he wants to call on or not call on in any order he or his press secretary choose. They have that freedom. We don't have any official pecking order or any of that nomenclatura stuff that the Russians are so fond of. No, this is America. We are free to do this, but we as a people are also free to judge the president based on these choices that he makes. We are free to say, whoa, Mr. President, that's a bad thing you're doing there. On the other hand, I'm going to applaud President Trump on this one. And the reason is, those of us who have been blogging a long time, in my case, Vodka Mud had just celebrated 15 years last month, if you can believe that.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. For those of us who have been doing this a long time, and that's all three of us, you put all three of us together, we got more than 40 years in this blogging thing. Well, guess what? Bloggers are finally breaching the wall. They're inside that White House press briefing room, and isn't that an amazing thing? Just everybody pat yourselves on the back and give that cheesy thumbs up right back to the president.
More than I usually do, you mean?
More than usual.
Okay.
Well, Bill, candidate Trump proved that a huge number of Americans love to see CNN and her sisters getting slapped down. But in an era when trust in the media gatekeepers is tanked, what's the best way to ensure that politicians get held accountable?
First of all, what Donald Trump has accomplished through his, Donald Trump can occasionally shoot from the hip and every now and then lacks a little dignity. I don't think that's going to be much up for discussion.
Every now and then.
Right.
Yeah.
But he's done something absolutely amazing. There's this iron triangle between progressive Democrats in Washington the progressive news media in New York and progressive culture mavens here in Los Angeles and Hollywood. And he has done the one thing that was necessary to destroy their lock on American lives, their lock on our information, and their lock on our culture and our entertainment. He simply said, I don't care what you think. I don't care what you think. That's how you destroy this block of left-wing propaganda. Meryl Streep gets up there and criticizes him. He says, yeah, you're a pal of Hillary, you're overrated, and you're a loser. And I didn't know about this White House press room pecking order until just a week or two ago. But, the idea that the priest in the golden robe comes down first, and he's the first one to be blessed by the magistrate, and then the silver robe priest comes down, and he's blessed in order all the way back down. When you break that order, you're smashing the priesthood, and you're showing them I don't care what you think. Now, obviously, the job of the press is to root out corruption, and not just when it's Democrats or Republicans, but let's just leave that behind for a minute. I think the real issue here, Scott, frankly, is that this is an organization that is really dying and is dying quickly. You asked how does the news get out there to American people? We don't need to have, Rebecca Sanchez on the scene for Channel 7 Live Eye News at 6 with a microphone and lights and a van and all the rest of it. Now, covering a riot. Now, if there's a riot, you're going to see the riot from inside the riot. It's going to be streamed by Facebook Live directly to the American people. And that filter of left-wing telling us what to believe and let's analyze this story, it's gone. And it's not coming back. They're dinosaurs, Scotty, and they're going fast. And I just love to say, got a huge laugh and applause line last night. The Washington White House press corps said that when Donald Trump started tweeting directly to the American people, it's the end of democracy. And last night in front of a group of people, I said, it's the beginning of democracy. It's the end of the White House press corps. That's what it is.
Well, we welcome the days when the riots are being televised directly by the rioters. As much that is said, isn't that the truth, though? That's exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
It's like, if you want to know what's going on in a riot, hear it straight from the mouth of the guy that's saying F the police. Yeah. As much as we revel when CNN gets her comeuppance, we also bristle at a politician who marginalizes critics and surrounds himself with cheerleaders. After all, this is not Venezuela. Now, there's probably no perfect, fair method for making sure that the president's team hears all of our questions and that we get the unvarnished news from his administration. Frankly, the daily press briefing is a political show, co-produced by the administration and the media to let us know that they are really, really important people saying super important things. Any actual reporter knows that this public spoon-feeding does not constitute journalistic news gathering. It's stenography. When a Democrat is in the White House, Republicans gripe that reporters regurgitate administration talking points. When a Republican sits in the Oval Office, Democrats complain that their own reporters don't ask tough questions and that they settle for pat answers. Real journalism is hard work. Real journalism usually happens away from the cameras during long hours, late nights, and deep wrestlings with conflicting stories. And even when you do your level best, half of the country will think you were paid by the partisans of the other half to bend the narrative. As a news consumer, caveat emptor, let the buyer beware. Beware of political manipulation, of media sensationalism, of agenda-driven anonymous sources, of both cheerleaders and of character assassins. One used to say that a savvy news consumer must read between the lines. Now, one must gaze between the frames, peep between the tweets, listen in the gaps, and above all, suspend judgment when lacking the facts. The Trump administration must move beyond cheap shots at the media and commit to total honesty and maximum transparency. Trump's defenders must stop excusing his behavior by favorably contrasting him with the liars in the media, with Barack Obama, or with Hillary Clinton, but I repeat myself. Instead, we must hold Trump to a timeless standard of truth and transparency. And if CNN does deserve a spanking, Mr. President, don't administer it with the flimsy switch of snark, nor with the undisciplined belt of bluster. Lay bare their duplicity and swat them with the oaken paddle of hard fact. For Bill Whittle, Stephen Green, and the Right Angle team, I'm Scott Ott. Thanks to the members at BillWhittle.com for making this possible.